Kadosh Boker or Masechet Nazir Daf Gimel Amud Aleph 43a1. We just say as follows: Bebayit nami, also in a house, there's no extra tuma when you go into a house. Kevan da'il yadei stav. The second that you put your hand into the house, even though your body did not go into the house, you already became tamemet. So therefore, right, in such a case, right, so to do with the coming to the tent of the deceased, it's not considered a biyah until you go the majority into the house. So so when you go the entire body, right, you're already tameh. So if you're already tameh, there's no extra tum'ah. You remember yesterday we were speaking about that there was like two different tum'ahs. There's lo yitama, which means do not become tameh. Velo yavo, don't come into a tent of a person that's going to be tameh. But he says the second that you put in your hand that you already become tameh, so what extra do you have now if your entire body goes inside? You're already tameh. The second you put your hand inside of this house, you're already tameh. So he says, Ela amar Rabbi Elazar, but rather Rabbi Elazar says, Tziref yado mishum tuma ika, mishum biya leka. He says, if you put your hand inside the house, and then afterwards you went and you completely went into the house, tum'ah you have. Biya you don't have, meaning you got tum'ah, you became tameh, but you don't have the yisur of going into a place which you're already tameh. But tziref gufo, which means if you put your hand beside your body, when you're coming into the house, so then you have tumah biya badi adadikatis. Then you have tumah and coming into the house at the exact same moment. Meaning, if you put your hand like this, or you put your hand in front of your body, so then your hand became tameh before your body, and then by the time your body, the majority comes in, you're already tameh. So you have tumah, but you don't have biya. Biya means that they're coming into the house to become tameh, but you're already tameh. But if you had your hands like this and you go in at the exact same time, so now the tumah and the biya, the tumah is coming at the exact same moment. So you have both. Okay, the tumah biya.
Once you talk about.
So he comes and he says, Ha, efshar de lo aile chotam obreisha benachale tumah. He says, 1 second. But even if you went with your body inside, your nose protrudes. So the second that your nose came inside the door, it became tameh. So now when the rest of your body comes in, there's no biya anymore because you already have tumah. You already became tameh. So it says the Gemara, right? He says, Elmaleh says, if you put your head in first, you have tum'ah but not biyah. But if you put your body first, so you have tum'ah biyah coming at the same time. Meaning, if you just put your head a little bit more back, and then your body came in with the head, so then it's all the same time. It wasn't that you're coming first, so your nose comes in first, right? And then the body. So it says, fine. 1 second. When you have the foot of your toe, you're right, your feet of your toe, they came in first, and then you have tumah. Salam Rav Papa, but rather Rav Papa says, the case was you came in like with a box, and then your friend came, and he took off the top of the box. The tumah that everything comes at the exact same time. So the tumah and the biyah is coming at the exact same time. More Ravashi comes and he gives another answer. Right? He went in. Right? He comes, he says, you went in when the person was a goses, and then nafik nishmata yativ, and basically what happened was he passed away when the guy was there.
What's goses?
Goses is a person that's already almost dying. Meaning, right? I mean, it's basically the person, he went in, he didn't die yet. He was alive. So you come in to visit him, and now what happens? Now he dies. So now everything is coming at the exact same time. The tumam biyah is coming up because you're already there. So if it's coming at the same time. Okay? Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. Hechalo. What does it mean lo yitama lehechalo? Ad shash yamut. Right? We're talking about that a kohen is not muzar al tum'ah until the time that a person becomes a halal, until the person dies. Rabbi says b'motam lo yitama. What does that mean? It's mashma you're not going to ad shiyamut until he dies and the nazir becomes tameh. Maybe now what's the difference? At the end of the day, it's the same concept. That basically the entire tum'at kohanim is only in death. So he says, Rabbi Yochanan says mashmot drashot yikum now. The mashmot of how do you make the drasha? Halakha said there's no difference between them, which means ena goses is mitameh, meaning a person that's a goses is not going to be mitameh anybody. The entire machloket is to do with Tanakama is doresh, the kohen is not going to be muzhar and the nazir lechalo, right? And they're going to learn it from bimotam, meaning where are they learning it from? Reshaki says no, there is a difference between them. You know the difference between them is goses ikar now. Lemanda amar, according to the manda amar lechalo afilu goses. That means even since the majority of the goses they die. So therefore, a kohen cannot go even to a beside a goses. But according to the mandamar b'mutam, until the person dies. But a goses, there's no problem. But according to the mandamar that says lechalo, it says bemotam. So he says he needs it like Rabbi. The Tanya was going to write that Rabbi says bemotam eno mitameh. They're not going to be mitameh bemotam. What does that mean? That the kohen cannot be mitameh to his family members bemotam, aval mitameh benigatam uzivatam. But he could become tameh to their nega, which is a nega tzarat, or because of their zava. They became a zav or a zava. And according to the mandamar bemotam, he says, well, you need it for this as well. It says in Ken, so the pasuk should have said bemot. What does it mean bemotam? It teaches us both things. In their death, the extra mem teaches them their death, and what we said about their nega and their zava. Okay? Mandamar, and according to the mandamar that says bemotam, aktiv lechalo, certain lechalo. So he says lechalo lach yudadata. You need it b'mi sheino mechulal yatsa shemechulal v'omer. This is only somebody that's not going to be mechulal, but somebody that's already mechulal. So therefore, there's no yisur for him to become tameh a second time around, which means a kohen that is already tameh met, there's no yisur for him to become tameh again. Okay? Fine. According to the mandamar lechalo, you need this as well. He says, no, if so, the pasuk should say lechal. What is lechalo? Two different halachot. The same thing, that the kohen is not muzal al tumat adam until the person dies, and if he's already tameh, there's no yisur for an extra tumah. Meitbe, we're going to ask the following question. We know that a person does not become tameh until the neshama goes out. So even if it's mamash, he's all cut up, afilu goses, or even if he's a goses, there's nothing until he actually dies. Meaning the guy is mamash, they cut off his, they slit his throat, and no, at the end of the day, until he dies. So he says, but according to the mandamar lechalo, haktani deno mitameh, we said it's mefurash, it's not going to be mitameh. So he says, "Liyan tamuya denafka nafsha." You're right. To do a tum'ah until the neshama goes out, but to do it itchule, which is basically that a kohen because mechalelet etzmo, he's going to be mechalelet etzmo even through goses. Meaning, even though you're right, the tum'ah is only when the person dies. But if a kohen is there during the time of goses, which means that he's almost dead, that's already he's starting to be mechalelet etzmo. He's desecrating himself. Okay, Mengim Lamubet, 43b. So Amar Rav Chasta Amar Rav, says Rav Chasta Amar Rav, Niktar Rosho Shel Aviv. What happens now if there was cut off the head or any other membrane, organ of the father or another family member? Eno metamelo, he cannot become tameh to him. My time on what's reasoning? Amakar, the pasuk says, Le'aviv, to his father. Bizman shu shalem, only if he's complete. Velo bizman shu chaser, and not if he's chaser, which means like this. We know that a kohen becomes metameh to 7 family members. Who are the 7 family members?
Father,
It's
mother.
not that. Huh?
It was Google was telling father, mother
Yes, father, mother.
at 120.
Yeah,
Brothers, wife,
yeah.
sister,
Sister not married. Next.
sister not married.
Not married sister.
Unmarried.
Not married sister.
Yeah.
And you give me 5.
Well, no kids.
Yes, son and daughter. Yeah,
Huh?
son and daughter. Yeah, 7. So 7 family members. Yeah, 7 family members. Says the pasuk, he could only become tameh to his family members if they're complete.
Completely dead.
No, complete. The body's complete. Meaning,
Ah.
let's say the head was cut off, and therefore they're taking the father to burial. But you have the head and you have the body. He cannot become tameh to that because it has to be le'aviv bizman shehu shalem. The time when he's complete. If he's not shalem, nothing.
So it does not depend of the soul.
Which one?
It does not depend of the soul.
No, that's what we're saying here. My tama le'aviv bizman shehu shalem, velo bizman shehu chaser. Only the time when he's shalem and not chaser.
So how does the Kohen do it?
Says the Gemara, Elmaleh Rav Hamnuna comes and he says, we're going to ask a question. Ka'azil befakta daravot. Imagine a Kohen is going in a place which is desolate. So he's in like mamash in a valley. Okay, so he comes and he says, "Ufaske ganave lereshe," and kam ganavim, and they chopped off his head. Hachanami deloli tameh. So what? Nobody's going to become his son is not going to become tameh because basically they did ISIS style. So says the Gemara, Elmaleh met mitzvah kamarta. He says met mitzvah. Hash yesh lomar b'acharim lemechayev be'aviv lo koshken. At the end of the day, it's a met mitzvah. If you find even a kohen, if he finds a dead person in the middle of nowhere, it's a met mitzvah. Met mitzvah, he's obligated to go. So koshken, this guy that it's his father. So obviously we're talking about a normal scenario where it's not a met mitzvah. We're talking about something happened. So says the Gemara, v'hai met mitzvah. Is it really a met mitzvah? But tell you we learned to write. What is a met mitzvah? Kol shen lo kovrin. If somebody cannot bury him. right? Kore, they're going to call after them. Other people, there's nobody there. But if you're going to start calling out and somebody's going to come and bury him, that's not called a mitzvah. He's got a son. So answers the Gemara, the fact that he's walking on the path, it's like that he doesn't have nobody to come and to bury him. Okay? So maybe they're going to ask the following question. When it says la itama, what does it mean? La hu mitameh, levrea. What does it mean? Also, we're talking about the sister. So when we're talking about the sister, the same thing. It's only to a sister which is a virgin, which means she was never married. You could become tameh. So he says la hu mitameh, but you cannot become mitameh levarea, to her limbs. Because just like the person which is the closest, which is the father, you do not become mitameh, so too you're not going to become mitameh to also the sister, to one of the limbs. But nevertheless, after the father was already buried, it's mutar for the Kohen to look, right, to find even mamash, little tiny pieces of bones or whatever it is, even if there's going to be a shiur tumah, right, as long as to come and to bury it. What is the my machziru aletzim yisora? Lavla meimra, we're not going to say the michsar purta, that even if it's going to be lacking a little bit, it's still permitted for the son to come and to bury him. Says the Gemara, no, that is the shita of Rabbi Yehuda. What does that mean? That he's going to permit for a Kohen to become tameh to his father, even if the body is chaser. But according to Rav Chasta, be'emet it's going to be asur. The Tanya was learned in the Braita. This is again, we're going to learn now shitat Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda omer. Yeah, Rabbi Yehuda says, metameh lah mitameh. You know, metameh levrea. That he's going to be mitameh to his sister, but not to her evarim, not to her body parts or limbs. They were cut off. He's not going to be mitameh also on the ever from the father, right? So he says, so it's ever minachai, meaning if the father was still alive, and now they have to cut off a body part, right? Sometimes it happens. They have to cut off an arm, a leg, a this, or that, whatever it is. Now they have to bury it. So there, he cannot become mitameh to that body part. But if the person already passed away, so then he could. So it comes out that according to Shtat Yehuda, he says that since the Kohen could become tameh to his father, it's mutar for him to come and to look for his evarim. So you see, that's what he's coming with. But that's again the Shita to be Yehuda. But Chachamim argue on that. So says the Gemara, Vatanya Rav Kahana Rav Eliezer ben Yaakov. But one second, Rav Kahana taught in a Braita, Rav Eliezer ben Yaakov. He says when it says La itama la mitameh menu tameh levarim prat lekzamina metu k'zayd netzel umlotar v'adrakav. We're talking about that this is coming to exclude a kezait from the deceased or a kezait of basar, right? Mamash, like flesh from the sister that passed away, or a kezait of lecha from like that has like that's full of afurit or whatever it is, which comes from her basar. That it's a soul for a Kohen to become tameh. So the Yachol, I would have thought to say lo yitaman that she cannot be, the Kohen cannot become tameh. Also to the spinal cord and the skull and the majority of the binyan and minyan of the body. Kativ, it's written, there's an extra tumah. What does that mean? Chelek echer of the goof of the achot is mutar for the Kohen to become tameh to her. So says the Gemara, right? Memdala the mudala from the top, right? That means basically what we're trying to say is that there is another part that you could. So he says, Yachol lo yitama shidra ulgolgol. I would have thought say that you cannot become tameh to the shidra, to the spinal cord or the skull or the majority of the body, right? Of the acherim, of other family members as well. Martha, you said, why is the sister taken out like everybody else? Why is it that we already mentioned this for the sister? That it has to do with their body, that it's talui in that. That means basically what we're doing is we're trying to compare that just like it's mutar for a Kohen to become tameh to different body parts of the father, for example, the shidra, the spinal cord, the rov binyan, meaning the majority of the body of it, not like Rav Chasta, that it's going to be a sul, so too, it will be the same halacha. So says the Gemara, no, Hainami Rabbi Yehuda. This is also Rabbi Yehuda. Meaning this Braita is also the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda. Remember, there's a machlok between Rabbi Yehuda and Rav Chasta. According to Rabbi Yehuda, even if there's lacking parts of the body part, or lacking part of the body for the father, you're still allowed to become tameh. According to Rav Chasta, it had to be shalem. So he says, Hainami Rabbi Yehuda. But Rav de Amar, and Rav says, Ki hai tana, like this time. And then we learned to the Braita, Masechet Nazir Daf. There was a story that the father of Rabbi Yitzchak ben Yitzchak passed away, and he was buried there. When they told him, only after 3 years did they tell him that the father passed away. Yeah, you're listening? Only after 3 years. So he went and he asked him, and the fourth Zakarim, was it permitted for him to come and to move the kevet of the father to his burial plots. Meaning, in the olden days, he used to have family ancestral burial plots, right? So therefore, he felt, what is this? The father passed away in a certain place. They buried him there. They don't want him buried there. They want to come and they want to move him where the entire family is. Are they allowed to move him? Amru, they said, le'aviv bizman shu shalem. When it says in the pasuk, lo yitama ki'im le'aviv is only going to be when it's shalem. If he's not going to be, v'lo bizman shu chaser. Now, therefore, it's going to be a suit for him to become tameh to his father, because since it's already going to be after the 3 years, right? So therefore, that's why, and that's what the halacha is. The halacha is a kohen cannot become tameh to his father if he's going to be lacking, right? Some people want to say that halacha it's mutar, right? It's a midi, whatever it is, but the Shulchan Aruch is paskening that no, that means basically only if the father is shalem, 100% complete in all his body parts, then he could come. So if there was any type of an accident, doesn't matter what type of an accident, and now there's missing body parts, he would not be able to become tameh to his father.